to counteract that by using hydroponics. So our water temperature is always cooler. The temperatures, we can't do anything about the ambient temperature, but we make sure that we hang the shade screen so that the light intensity, the heat intensity from the sun, is not transferred directly onto the plant leaf surface, while letting enough light through for the plant to perform pretty well. So these plants, they can get anywhere from 150 grams minimum to 200, 250 grams over time. So this is an NFT system as well. These are butterhead lettuces. For me, they're the best tasting ones. Beautiful rosette. Uniformity is also very important, right? Like in growing lettuces, which is easier to accomplish using NFT systems or hydroponic systems in general rather than in soil. So compared to containerized setups, there's nothing more powerful than the light spectrum from the sun, right? Like you can buy all kinds of lights and very expensive LEDs, but there's nothing better than the sun, and the sun is free. It's a free resource for us. The problem that we have in the Philippines here is that we have too much sun. And our sun is also very hot. So we want to separate the heat versus the light. Plants need the light, but not so much the heat. So we've been able to figure this out and grow all kinds of lettuces in lowland environments where it's very hot, but by addressing the heat situation and using hydroponics methods. Just showing some other systems like the tomatoes that we're also doing. These are beefsteaks, eggplants. The one on the top is aubergines. That the seeds are also from Europe, and they've done well here as well. This is another type of lettuce. It's a reddish green butterhead, also very delicious and visually very appealing, especially if you have buyers coming in or chefs that want to take a look at the operation, and then this just amazes them. So this is the build that we did in Borongan. So you see the uniformity of the NFT system. Everything checks out. It looks great. Everything's organized. And if you're wondering how do we harvest this, like how do you get these are all on elevated tabletops. So how do you harvest from the middle? Now, each and every one of these channels is removable. So before we got cut off in our previous conversation, I also mentioned about cost cutting and finding ways of reducing expenses while adding to the sustainability of running a greenhouse. And one of the most important parts is labor and process flow, workflow. And people don't really factor that into consideration because the less work, basically, the less work you do, the more productive you are in other areas. So in harvesting and transplanting, when it's time to harvest, like one of these channels, you remove one of these channels, you bring them into the sorting area, you harvest everything all in one shot, and then before you place the channel back, you immediately transplant the new seedling into the empty cup or in the empty hole, so that you immediately place it back. So you basically have zero downtime in the turnover from harvest to replanting. And those seedlings will already have been in the nursery for 10 to 14 days. So then you just count another 3 to 4 weeks after that. So it's a continuous operation, made for production. So you never have any downtime, because if you're running a farm, you want to make sure that you're 100% productive. And farm owners, their number one expense is always labor and productivity. You can hire 10 people, but they might not be productive, right? So our systems are designed that's productivity in mind always, because that's the most important part. Yeah, this is chard. This is another variation of what you can do. You can intercrop them, different colors, depending on the size of them. It doesn't really matter. You just have so much flexibility in the NFT system. So the distances we use between cups, plant spacing is 8 inches by 6 inches. That we found to be the most optimal configuration to optimize plant growth for most of the high quality lettuce that are out there. If you do 6 by 6, then it's a little too tight. If you do 8 by 8, I feel like there's still some unused space. So talking about plant density, the greenhouses that we build, we have to factor in, of course, because the focus is ROI and making money. We want to pack in as many plants as possible in the smallest amount of space. Um, and by if you put too many plants in such a small space, then they're all going to underperform. They won't get to their maturity yield. So using an 8 by 6 configuration in 1 square meter of greenhouse space, we're able to pack 25.2 plants per square meter, and I think that is the maximum that we can do. I mean, we started, um, we achieved 18, and then we went to 21, and then yeah, 25.2 seems to be the max because we have to also factor in a 2 feet walkway between tables and those kinds of things. So efficient. If you're thinking about 1,000 square meters of growing space or greenhouse at 25 plants per square meter, that's 25,000 plants. And when you're thinking about, okay, what's the average yield per plant? We achieve at minimum 150 grams should be very, very easy to achieve, even if you're a beginner. But over time and with practice, then you should be able to achieve 180, 200, 250 grams per head. You can do the math with that. And I'll show you later on another slide the calculations we've quickly done for your project. Butthead configuration, more of that. You see these channels, they're all, they're removable, and it just makes it so much easier. So water goes in on the top side and it's sloped down and it drains all into a common channel, which goes back into the recirculation system in the drums. Yeah, you see it slots into that drainage pipe down in the back over there, and which makes it cleaner also for maintenance. Yeah, so since the channels are removable, maintenance is another thing. So in static systems where you're just using, 20 feet, 30 feet, 40 feet type of channels where you just glue them together, that makes it for a headache to maintain. How do you clean those channels? You have to walk over there with the hose and then flush it out, and then but for these channels to be removable, it makes it so much easier to maintain them. You can clean them right after you harvest and before you put in another set of seedlings. So everything happens really fast. Uh, yeah, and this is a different kind of hydro system. This is the DWC tables, floating raft. And then behind there is a static kind of NFT system, 3 layers. So underneath the second and the first layer, there are lights as well. So yeah, this is another one where you can see different varieties of lettuces. And yeah, this is a tomato patch that we're doing using cocoa bags. Okay, so in the greenhouses, this is what we do for water reservoirs. In this setup here, we put 5 of these IBC tanks. They hold about 1,000 liters each. That orange pipe coming from the top is the conduit for the gutters, so that collects the rainwater during rainy seasons. Now, you can, for water reservoirs or encatchments, you can either do a pond or one of these types. And the problem with ponds are, well, ponds can leak, number one, and then that will take some repair and maintenance and those type of things. Number two is the cleaning of the pond. Like people don't really think about it, but we've done it many times, and it's laborious. Cleaning ponds, making sure that you get out, you get everything out of there. Maybe there's frogs in there, maybe there's a lot of leaves in there or organic materials. So needless to say, there's a filter on it, but it's just, for us, using IBC tanks is just much cleaner, much faster. It's much easier to maintain by collecting and storing rainwater. You see on the left there, that's a big filter is composed of different sizes of gravel, silica sand, and anthracite or just activated carbon. So the water source of here is also connected to a deep well that's about 30 meters down away from this greenhouse. So we can pump water from that deep well through the filter, clean out the bicarbonates and all the other the sand and sediments that go through the filter before it's being stored in these IBC tanks. and then you connect them all on the bottom like that, and then it's connected to the controller, and the controller just automates the operation back onto the tables. Yeah, eggplants and more lettuce. Arugula. This one's arugula. Yeah, this is the basic type of setup. So it's 8 feet channels going across. Tomatoes and melons. Yeah, we're able to get these tomatoes almost, a third, I want to say, of the size of the melon. It's pretty amazing. Important. Well, I don't know if you guys are going to do tomatoes, but important is that in these varieties that you don't get cracking of the skin. And we've done a lot of work with making sure or focusing on plant nutrition so that we don't have to use pesticides for all the pests that. So, yep. Okay. So, 1 second. Let's talk about. Okay. So, assuming, let's say, we'll propose 1,000 square meter greenhouse hydroponics facility. All right. So, out of what we were thinking is for this purpose, let's do 85% of that area goes into production. So 850 square meters. We'll allocate a space, let's say 10% for the academic portion for students. They can work together with the teachers and whatnot. They can get their hands-on work, and then 5% to your R&D department where you can do experiments. The experiments, I think it's important, to find out different things. Because in the production side, we'll follow the same recipe over and over again, because it needs to make money. So let's talk first about the return on investment. So out of that 85%, we can fit 25 plants per square meter. That's a total of 21,250 plants capacity. Assuming conservative average of 150 grams per plant per cycle or 30 days. Your output would be 3,187 kilos per month, or almost 800 kilos per week. Now, that said, how much money you'll make depends on how much you can sell it, right? So, wholesale pricing, I would think in Burauen, I think you'll have to go with the traders and selling it at wholesale rather than retail. But you could do retail. Let's just say 150 per kilo to the wholesaler. So your monthly revenues would be 478,000 per month, or 120,000 per week, and it's more realistic that you do the 120 per week because you want to harvest per week. So the greenhouse has to be divided in 4 basically because you want to harvest weekly. Now ROI will be achieved in less than 2 years. Yeah. Now in terms of costing, full hydroponics greenhouse, self-sustainable, solar, and everything else, it's about 10,000 pesos per square meter, including the trucking and transport of our teams and people and all that. So you can earmark that in terms of your proposal to whoever your guys are submitting it to. So about 10,000 per square meter for the full boat. Right. So when Miss Anna was talking about the partnership idea, now yes, I think what we can do is we can definitely partner up with you guys in terms of the operations and the support and the running of the greenhouses, but then also for the academic portion. So what I had in mind is for in one greenhouse, let's say we do 1,000 square meters, you'll need 4 full-time staff horticulturists that will provide. Now, the people will primarily be working on the production side because the greenhouse needs to make money. And if the teachers want to work with our horticulturists to help them, create a lesson plan for the students, fine, that's great. And then also for the R&D department, if you guys have, then you guys want to run some experiments, our horticulturists will be there to support that as well. So now with the production side, we'll have to determine the market, we'll have to find the market, and we have to reach out to different areas in Leyte, but I suppose also in Cebu and probably also Bohol, that being a tourist destination. So marketing and the logistics portion of it will support with that too. So that is generally what I had in mind right now on terms of partnerships. Okay.
Oh, yes, Sir Richie. Good morning. Oh, good afternoon. It's already 12 o'clock. Thank you for listening actually to the discussion, sir. That's good. We just, talk later after this meeting. You visit my office. You and Ma'am Ann.
Hello. If there's a partnership, can we have a memorandum of understanding or memorandum of agreement, Sir Allen?
Oh, goes without saying. Absolutely. We'll put something in writing. We want to make sure that everything's clear and what our responsibilities are and what your responsibilities are as an institution. So at the end of the day, I think we need to benefit not only the ROI portion of it, but also for the students and for the community. The produce that we're going to make here in the greenhouse, we don't treat it with pesticides, and we don't overload it with nitrates as well. So when the end user ends up eating it, it's healthy for them. Oftentimes you see lettuce, you think it's healthy, but I'm experienced enough. I can see a particular type of lettuce, and I know it's not healthy. I mean, it's loaded with nitrates, or it's just too synthetic, let's say. So our way of doing hydroponics is focused on nutrition rather than on yield and weight or look how big it is. That doesn't matter. For me, our job as growers is sort of like doctors almost. We what we want to do is make the community healthier, and we can achieve that with our systems. So um, definitely, partnership sounds very interesting. At the end of the day, I want to make sure that you guys are getting your ROI and that we can create employment for people and that the students are learning and your R&D facilities can do all kinds of nice experiments and the community is happy and healthy. That's it.
Oh, thank you. How about the greenhouse is composed of sir, controllers equipment.
Yes, ma'am. So in terms of controllers, everything will be operated by centralized control, which can also be done on the administrator's mobile phone. So you can, even when you're at home or you're on holiday, you can still manage your greenhouse in terms of turning pumps on and off, turning different features on and off, or just checking to see if there's any problems. What we could also install, I think is a good idea, is CCTV cameras inside the greenhouse, so you can also see live feed, that you have, whatever's going on.
Oh,
So
that's great.
uh, now, in terms of automation, though, we can't put in like very expensive automation, like assembly lines and things like that, make everything so much better. Automated shade screening, I say let's not do it. All that stuff costs money, and I don't think it adds to the bottom line, to be honest. Because every time we do client consultation, I would always put myself in the frame of mind. If it was my money, if it was my project, what would I do? What would I spend money on? So I'm not going to recommend you anything that you don't really need. I mean, it may look nice, but does it add value? No. So therefore, I won't really recommend that.
That's a good information, sir. And also, sir, Alan, we also want to make attached to it, the solar panel, to make it more sustainable and not being dependent more on the electric. That's the main problem here. They electric failure. So we can have possible integrate into it the solar panel.
That's absolutely no problem. This greenhouse that we're working on here, for instance, this will be running on solar panel as well. So that this over here, I think you can see, this is our control unit, and this will all be wired to the panels that will be in the front of the unit. So yes, power indeed is very important. But in the NFT systems that we put down, so we use coco peat. We use coco peat in styro cups. Not only is that, you can, it's reusable. You don't have to buy new implements every single time, because you want to reduce your expenses on consumables. A lot of people like using rock wool and foam and those. At the end of the harvest, that just goes to the trash, and you can't recycle that. So again, where you don't have power, well, the cups can, they can maintain moisture. So it doesn't need to run 24 hours for the roots and before they start dying, right? So yes, sustainability, power independency, very important. We can achieve that with solar, but that's also backed, supported by the system itself, that it doesn't dry out in one day. For instance, you don't have a catastrophic loss. Please, yeah, if you guys are ever in Pampanga, that's great. I'll show you this place. Well, I can send you some pictures as well, and this will be done. This probably be up and running maybe by next week or so. Yeah. So the clients there is it's a religious. It's the nuns. They're nuns, but they won't allow people to go in, because they just don't want to. They're nuns. Like they're private, I guess. So I don't know. I've asked them if it's okay to send visitors. They rather not. Yeah, if he's able to talk to the sisters, that's fine. But if not, but that yeah, that greenhouse, we did not put solar there. They're running on regular power. But essentially, it's the same. The NFT system, the same. Yes, please. Perfect. Perfect. Uh, One question for you, Jesse. How many hours is Burauen from the Matnog port or Allen port? Is it Allen port? Allen, yeah. Okay. Okay. By land, right? So you don't have to take a ferry in between them. Okay. Perfect. Perfect. Okay.
But we can actually, if we take a plane, that's a 1 hour ride.
No, kay pagdarat era mga ah,
Yeah, the building materials, the steel, and all of the, because we've noticed in Samar and Leyte, your prices on steel and everything basically is much more expensive than in, in
Yes.
Luzon. So what we did is we just sent trucks, 20 wheelers, and then take the port.
That is way much better. So we can also make the fun.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, yeah. So anyways, your airport is still Tacloban, right?
Yes,
Students.
Tacloban.
And how many hours from Tacloban to Buruaman?
1 hour.
Oh, wow. Okay, perfect.
Okay, so sir, we need your help in filling up the forms because this is for DA bar funding, research funding, so
Okay.
that we can submit the necessary documents for
Ma'am Ann.
research.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Hello, Ma'am Ann.
Yes, sir.
Did you have a consultation, talk with the DA office, in the DA office?
Sir, they have sent already the invitation, the memo, last year.
Nasa
So,
last year pa ito.
mm, so I am in a difficult in filling up the costing and the design and all the necessary for an automated greenhouse.
So what was their initial advice about this project?
So they recommended Green Gold Farm.
Mhm.
Mm-mm.
Then you see,
To work with them.
okay. You see, we will see how far we will go to this project. Now,
Yes,
so
sir.
listening to Sir Alan kanina, this could be a win-win project. If we're going to look in a bigger spectrum. So I mean, both for faculty and students. Now, this could help them. This could they can even, or the teachers and students could even make this
In the
as a research
community.
group.
Yes, sir.
And it could also be in line with the research and extension, even IGP. So
Yes,
pag
sir.
naging successful tayo dito, pwede gawin nating IGP.
Yes,
So,
sir.
no?
And we can transfer the technology to the community
That's it.
for extension.
So I think we're going to plan this before we go to the Department of Agriculture. Meron na kayong proposal about this?
Yes, sir. I have already my proposal, but I don't have yet the costing, the time frame,
They're
the
not asking a
labor.
feasibility study about this one sa DA. Anong
Yes, sir.
hinihingi nila?
Proposal.
Proposal lang.
Yes, sir. For high valued crops. And the requirement is dapat sustainable, resilient. What else? With IoT, meaning
What do you mean by
automated
resilient?
talaga.
Resilient of what?
Automated in terms of storms,
Mhm.
typhoons. Yes, sir.
So anyway, we have a very good place here in the campus.
Yes,
And I
sir.
think we can even invite Sir Alan and the rest to visit the place so that they have an idea sa the physicality of our campus.
We would love that, Mr. Edward.
Yes, sir. You are very much welcome to visit our campus.
Oo. Sige daw.
Ms. Anna, for in terms of the missing requirements that you need, we'll send you an email later today with everything you need there in terms of costing,
Okay.
design,
sir.
Okay, thank you,
pictures.
sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
So you can immediately expedite that.
Ma'am Ann and Sir Jesse will take care of it.
Thank you.
And also, Ma'am Shai.
Thank you very much, Sir Alan.
My pleasure.
So Ed, who will be the project leader for the
Pardon?
ikaw po yung project leader sa proposal ko.
No problem.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
So that's all. Sige, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir. Alan, and we're looking forward to possible engagement
Yes.
with the company, the Explore Campus, together with support of our director. And also we do have Ma'am Marisa. And so we love seeing you guys, and we do love to share the documents. We really need those documents. We can also submit to the DER. So from this proposal, we carry out the implementation and possible and positive and actual implementation of the KD campus. So thank you for taking time. Glad that you're here with us.
All right, guys. All right. Everyone have a great day.
Risa.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Okay.
Thank
you.
you for your time.
Bye-bye, Mr. Ed.
Thank you, Sir Alan.
Sana. Bye-bye,
Okay.
guys.
Can we have a
Thank you, Ann and
follow-up?
Jess.
Photo op.
Oh no, he left na. Yeah, he left
Rizel
already.
also, thank you.
Sir Ed, mag-photo up lang po
Ay.
tayo. Open to camera.
Ma'am
Ah?
Riza.
Open camera, sir.
Sure.
para- Sorry.
Sir Alan, ni Ma'am Riza na lang.
Ma'am Risa, ilagay niya na ito sa tabi. Okay, and then another.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Ma'am Riza.
Thank you po. Hope to
Thank
see
you,
you soon.
ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Babu.
Thank you, sir.